Okay, TRW, Crusades 2, battles from the 12th to the 15th centuries. The battle is Hob. Okay, I lost a video of first half of the, I think, 0930 hours turn, but now I'm not sure I've kept up on my turn record track, but oh well, not a big deal. Yeah, I lost that video because the microphone wasn't plugged in all the way. So, certainly an opportunity here to talk about the game as a whole. So up front are probably three things. One, it does work. Second, this is a series to, or a family of games, to really consider if you're at all interested in these different time periods: the English Civil War, the 100 Years' War, the Crusades, Age of Chivalry, the Wars of the Italian Renaissance. I mean, these are not periods that have a lot of games associated with them. Other than the Crusades 1 and 2 here, I can think of By the Edge of the Sword, which is a great series also. This family of games and the Crusades 1 and 2 here, they're just not comparable to By the Edge of the Sword. They're just very different. Design styles come from very different design sources. I would be pretty confident to say that. And three, this game and really the whole family of games really, it does engage you, and that's great, and that is important. I'm not going to say that that's the one overriding factor, but it is certainly a factor. So also what's going on here, and then I'll continue to have some things to say about the game here and the family of games in general. Again, overall it is working. And this is important. Okay, so let's talk about the rules here. Once you reacquaint yourself or recall the idiosyncrasies of the rules, and the design too, but really the idiosyncrasies of the rules as provided, which to that I will add, once you get into the mental frame of these games, things are okay and it works. Having said that, I think you wind up with a good degree of design for effect. And, well, no, I'm not a fan of design for effect at all. So a good deal of design for effect is not a positive. So what do I mean? Okay, this is a good example. Let's talk about the Crusader left. I mean, these are Crusader heavy cavalry. Crusader heavy cavalry on the right. Crusader heavy cavalry in this reserve back here. Heavy. Again, they should have made these more. Yes, should have made these more identifiable. But so then you also have Crusader heavy cavalry in the center front. So center front, center rear, along with some dismounted men-at-arms and bowmen. So considering that Crusader army, so go back to the left here. The left is only mounted heavy Crusader cavalry. And for the whole battle so far, so we're talking roughly 2 hours of simulated time, they've been, well, yeah, they are surrounded because these are in enemy zones of control. And they've been surrounded by a lot of mounted bowmen, Turkish mounted bowmen here. And what's happened is, yes, these forces are getting whittled down, right? 1-step loss, 2-step losses. I think these guys are still fine. Yeah. So 3-step losses so far. So you can say they're being whittled down, which is okay. But what's interesting is I think all 3-step losses have been from failing morale checks and then not being able to retreat, which is okay. Yeah, it's designed for effect. Because what's odd is I'm firing every single unit over and over and over again, so that gives the impression to the player that there are just hails and hails and hails of arrows flying in this, cauldron here. And the rolls for the fire combat, well, okay, and I was thinking this is why I thought there would be some things to say here. So I was going to say I'm rolling and rolling and rolling, and the fire combat rolls aren't causing any. I guess I'll turn this over. Look at the fire table there. They're not getting the ones that are knocking off these steps. Then they melee. Melee doesn't. Then melee. Not getting any of these ones here. So, okay, then the Crusader heavy cavalry are rolling their morale checks, they're failing their morale checks, they can't retreat, they take a step loss. I got it. I guess that's supposed, okay, so I guess 2 points that I'll say. One, okay, I got it. Maybe an M on the fire table, and for that matter an M on the melee table, isn't just a morale check, right? So maybe it's supposed to be taken all together. There's all this fire combat and melee. The fire combat and the melee rolls are not directly causing the step losses, but they are causing the M results. And then the target is failing the morale check and then taking the step loss because they can't retreat. So in a design for effect sense, I'm supposed to believe that actually a bunch of those arrows maybe did hit targets, and maybe that melee did cause some casualties. But in a sense, they're also kind of disassociated with M results, morale check. M does mean morale check, but I think morale check isn't really, I know this sounds simplistic, but it goes back to me not liking the way morale is modeled in so many war games. That's what it comes down to. It's an M result, it's not a morale check. In black and white it is, but really it's not. What it really is it's just another kind of loss result. It's just another type of combat result. Because really a 1 is obvious, but a 1 also entails a morale check. Okay. The M result is really the target facing certain results relative to its morale value. So some are more vulnerable than others. And the results are 1, retreating, which is moving away. It's moving away, or it's taking a step loss if if the unit can't move away. So let me make my point clear, because I know it sounds like I'm saying something so obvious. It's like there are scores and scores and scores of war games that do this. I don't think that combat system, that combat mechanic, I don't think that combat design actually applies at this scale and scope. So I'm supposed to believe that these are, whatever, a couple hundred, are some number of hundreds of meters wide, okay? And that these are what? These are, I don't know, units of, well, several hundred, I guess. Okay, it's a battlefield. The combat system is more like this is a huge front, and these are like 25-kilometer hexes, and turns are days, and these are like divisions. Yeah, so that is how I look at it. So what does that mean? That means what I would rather see are the results linked more directly to the decisions that the player makes for the units. I mean, it can be done, and I guess I believe there are a very small percentage of games out there that do this. Okay, what do I mean? That are tracking actual losses, actual wounded, actual fleeing strength, actual panic, confusion. Okay, obviously we're talking about not a system this basically simple, and not simple, but I mean, it is streamlined, but this stripped down, basic, not necessarily simple, but basic. Okay, so, and again, it's like I can't complain, because I can kind of see how. Actually, I'll tell you exactly what I was thinking about this game. Like, if I pull way back, like I step 10 feet away from the table, and I squint really hard, I can kind of see the battle's kind of, it's kind of recognizable, I guess, for scale and scope. But I mean, this cauldron, all right, this one broke up somehow. Okay. Nonetheless, it is enjoyable, and it is engaging. Now, I will say one odd thing, and then I'll probably just leave it here. Of this family of games, I believe that kind of I don't know what you're going to call them, but the Age of Chivalry, the Sword and Shield, maybe even the Black Prince, maybe, and Crusades 2, this game, I believe those are the ones that are popular of the gamers who have an opinion of this family of games. I think those and this one are the popular ones, and I don't think Royalists and Roundheads are. I don't think they're in the top handful. But I think I actually prefer the Royalists and Roundheads English Civil War treatment, maybe a little better. Yeah, just a little better, but I've enjoyed playing. I've enjoyed playing this, and I've enjoyed playing. I have enjoyed playing Age of Chivalry. I know. I can't remember Sword and Shield yet. But I know Age of chivalry I enjoyed. So nonetheless, it draws you in. The orders are great and not that complicated, but they basically do some of the right things. The melee checks before, or the morale checks before melee, that is another level. I know that would be, okay, it's another thing I like. I absolutely like. Do not want to see that go away. But I can just, it's funny how the things that would get stripped out if this were redone for the market today. Probably the top 2 or 3 things that would just be stripped out, and then there would be a lot of rationalizations about how it was dealt with in some other design for effect way. But bottom line is it would be stripped out. The bottom line is, I think, and I'm being a little cynical here, but designer today would say, players don't want to deal with morale checks before melee. They just want to get right into the melee. And yeah, anyways, I think it's so I haven't really, well, at least it's been a very long time since I've been around this mechanic in this family of games. I might have mentioned it a very long time ago. I can't remember the early videos. But the thing I really like about the morale checks before melee is that when you're the attacker, like you can't, I would submit you simply cannot play the odds. You can't play the odds in a way that's frankly not realistic. In other words, you can't say, like, this is the way I look at it, right? If I feel that I need to go take out, this unit here, for example, or this unit. If I say, okay, I need to take this unit out, and I look at the combat tables, right, the melee table, and I run the odds, and I say, okay, if I send 2 units there, and I mean just by raw numbers, just by raw combat numbers, I guess, combat values. If I send 2 units over there, I can achieve the task that needs to be done. I can, destroy or drive away whatever, that target unit. But with the morale checks in this game, which I really, really like, it's like, okay, if 2 will do the job, again, by the numbers, I'm sending 4 units under the very real possibility that half of the units will not pass their pre-melee morale checks. That to me is more realistic. It is actually a little bit more interesting. It just rings a little more true. It adds a significant degree of unpredictability. Yeah, you get unpredictability all the time with this, but you compound that with the morale checks before melee, morale checks after melee, it gets really interesting. I guess that's enough for now.